Okay, my watch list for Wednesday, starting with MACK. This one's kind of interesting. You had this gap up back here, took you to 750, then it went through 8, and then kind of right here tried to break this downtrend or this trend line. Found resistance there, and now you can see it's really kind of above this recent resistance. You have this kind of area right here. Couple highs there, but not a lot in the way. So this one's interesting, and it really came on my radar today on an intraday basis when I saw this volume spike, and I thought if this gets through the high of the day, this could go. Maybe look at the daily chart. So anyway, this is kind of interesting. Over today's high was 737, so through that with some kind of volume, it might just rip right through that 750 and maybe challenge recent high. So that's MACK. FEYE. I don't love this one, but it's interesting. It was up over 90 back in March and just got decimated, and then finally, get some lines going here. Finally, seemed to have bottomed out right there. Maybe like almost a double bottom right there, and then it's putting in higher lows now. So let me get those lines out of the way and zoom in a little bit. And now it's holding the 20-day. So it busted through the 20-day, pulled back, another nice move, and we pulled back again. I think this might be worth a potential long if I get a proper intraday setup. BTH, now this is a thinner stock as you can see, but it's got a ton of shorts in it. So it's interesting. It gapped up here, ran from 8 to 10, and now it's down 4 days in a row on almost no volume, getting close to the 20-day. So want to keep an eye on that one for a potential bounce. And in keeping with the bounce play themes, DSKY, I talked about this in last night's video. DSKY, after the initial IPO, had resistance right there at 19, and now it's made its way back down there and kind of had one of those indecision candles where it basically closed where it opened. So I want to watch that for a potential long on Wednesday. CAMT, kind of the same deal. It's worked its way back down, and you can kind of see it hitting a trend line here. Well, it looks like it's below that trend line. But anyway, I don't love that one either, but look at this. It makes nice moves at times, gap up, higher, and then now it's down 4 or 5 days in a row, and again, basically closed where it opened. So I want to watch that for potential long. Don't love that one. And here's some more kind of crazy ones. RADA moved all the way from $1.60 to 6-ish, and now is back down to the 20-day. So I want to watch that one for a bounce. NETE. These are strictly chart plays, guys. I haven't researched why these stocks did these crazy moves. But this NETE, $1.75-ish to 570 something, 575-ish, and now a couple big red days. I want to watch that for a bounce too. Now, what I look for in these crazy low float stocks that have really come in is what I'd like to see is it trade in a narrow range, 15, 20 cent range for a couple hours, and then an upside break. You could get a nice trade out of that, but otherwise I won't mess with them. Okay. ECYT, I like this one a lot. Broke out of this long base the other day, had a nice follow-through day, and now it's down about 4 days in a row to test the 8-day and kind of testing the breakout area. So this one goes on bounce watch as well. ECYT. Also in my notes, LOCO, back down into support. I thought, if you look back a couple days ago, right there, volume coming in and breaking out of this little wedge pattern, and then look at this. Then it gapped up, ran, and reversed, and now we're right back down at support, right back down at the 8-day. So I want to keep Loco on watch for a possible bounce. FUEL had that spike the other day. Don't have any kind of clean trigger other than 1630. It hit there, hit 1632. So up over 1630 with some kind of volume. That one might make a move. All right, that's fuel. And then TKMR with the Ebola and Obama talking about it. This one's a pretty nice looking pattern here. It's had trouble with these recent highs around 2075, hit 2065 today. We did have a trade in this one today, right at 2018 right there. And we got about a 5-minute move to 2065. That was fun. Also, while I'm making this video, whoops, TRUE. Just wanted to share with you, talk about what we do for bounce plays. TRUE was on our bounce list for today. Okay, looked like this. He had a bounce back here. This is just an example of how we play bounce plays. Had a bounce back here from 1850-ish, and we were down 3, 4, 5 days in a row after a really nice move back to that support. So I threw it on bounce watch, and you can see what happened today. Gap down and then ran, which actually is a setup I like. When I'm watching for something that's down several days in a row near support and it gaps down, let me switch to 5-minute candles. What I like to do, actually let me switch to 2-minute candles. It's a little more clear that way. What I like to do is buy a break of its early high. So these are 2-minute candles. It sold off. And now I'm not going to take this 2 or 4 minutes in because things whip around so bad. But when it looked like this, I was a lot more comfortable calling it. So you had the gap down and it went down to here. And then you had this kind of little tight range. So I just called it right above that high of day break. 1866 with an 1850 stop. And look at that. That was my best trade of the day. It went to 20. Actually went higher than 20 in the afternoon. Went to 2020. So there's an example of how I'll play a bounce play. Okay, so I just showed you several bounce plays that I'm watching. So if we get a gap down, that's kind of the setup I look for. My favorites going into tomorrow are probably TKMR, just because that's a coiled pattern and a lot of Ebola news, and DSKY. You know, from 26 down to 19 and kind of finding support. That one deserves to be watched too. And DGLY, you might want to watch these again. DGLY, in the video last night, I mentioned a possible, actually it was my video about VII, but I mentioned a possible bounce from DGLY at 18 at that 20-day. And it did. It went from there to 2065 and finally closed green here. So there may be about a continued day in that. And as if you watched my video last night, I've got a position in VII looking for these to finally start bouncing. That VII, ISNS also finally closed with a green candle. So there may be a follow-through bounce on these guys. And that's enough to throw at you. I think it's a pretty good list. I'll really be watching some of those bounce plays. ECYT, let me go back to that real quick. ECYT is one of my favorites, this flag after this breakout. And then again, some of these crazy ones might give a setup, all right? RADA, NETE, but those, you got to be real careful with those. Those have to give me a perfect setup before I'll play them. All right, so I'll leave it at that. DSKY, probably my favorite though, so keep an eye on this one for a bounce tomorrow. MBOY is another example. You had the gap down, sell off, hit the 20-day. That was also on bounce watch today. And I skillfully, completely missed this one, even though I was stalking it. I started switching my charts around, putting different symbols on different charts, and somehow completely eliminated MBLY from my charts. So I never did see this afternoon. Look at this. I mean, just a sideways move all afternoon. Then the volume starts to come in. If this is on bounce watch, that's a buy right there all day long, and then it just ripped. You could also watch that for a follow-through day. But you know what? I've babbled long enough. Decent list to start with, and we'll find stuff to trade as the day unfolds as well. Have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.